Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Hannah Deppen, and I'm happy to welcome you all here on behalf of the team at Oldways. Oldways is a food and nutrition nonprofit helping people live healthier, happier lives. So it's a real pleasure for us to see this mission through this collaboration through Age-Friendly Boston and Armenian Heritage Park on the Greenway. Before we get started with today's cooking demo, I just want to remind you of a few things. First, you'll find the recipe for today's demo in your email shortly after the webinar. Second, you can find a recording that you can share or watch again by searching for Oldways on YouTube or visiting oldwayspt.org. Finally, we have a live demonstration today, which is going to be fantastic. If you have questions as the chef is cooking, you can type them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Andrea Burns of Age-Friendly Boston. Oh, Andrea, I think you might be on mute.
Didn't I do this last time? You'd think I'd learn. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Hannah, and thank you to everyone at home who's joining us today. My name is Andrea Burns, as Hannah said, Director of Age-Friendly Boston, which is an initiative within the City of Boston Age Strong Commission. I really hope that you are all managing through this difficult time and finding ways to stay healthy and well. Hopefully this series is a source of enjoyment. I know it is for me. I look forward to it every time we do it. I wanted everyone to know that the program will be re-aired on Boston City TV Monday through Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. and on Boston Neighborhood Network throughout the week. And that can be found on Comcast 23, RCN 83, and Verizon 1960. Celebrating What Unites Us is a partnership of our commission, the Armenian Heritage Park on the Greenway, and Oldways, a nonprofit inspiring people to embrace the traditional food of their ancestors. Our series celebrates the diversity of Boston through the cuisine of the many cultures and ethnic groups that have made Boston their homes. It also celebrates what unites us, that we are all human beings, even in the midst of our differences. I have a data sheet on Latin American immigrants that I will send around to everyone today, and there is some information on immigrants from Mexico. I wanted to just welcome you, and I hope everyone enjoys the class. Thank you so much.
Okay, Chef, if you can unmute yourself, we are ready to begin.
Hello, everyone. Thank you to Oldways and Age-Friendly Boston for having myself, Colton, Coburn-Wood, and this is my sous chef, Cruz. Oh, our passion is Mexican food. However, we are both not Mexican. We tried to have some of our friends who are Mexican come and talk about their culture, but they were unable to make it, so you're stuck with us. Cruz and I have been cooking together for 10 years now. We started at a Mexican restaurant in Fenway called La Verdad. We kind of went our separate ways and took our own paths, and then kind of came back together. And we opened Yellow Door Taqueria in Dorchester. And then our newest project has been over here in the South End at Cósmica restaurant in the Revolution Hotel. So today we're going to make two traditional, but kind of with our own spin on it, dishes. The first that we're going to tackle is a Aguachile. Aguachile is a very traditional kind of form of ceviche, where essentially the protein, the fish, sits in this very flavorful kind of cold broth. The one that we're doing is a little untraditional. We kind of wanted to tie in a little bit of the New England kind of autumn season as well. So this one has apples, it has pears in it, and it has this really gorgeous yellow color. So we're calling it Aguachile Amarillo, which just means yellow aguachile. Most of the times people are using shrimp for this. We happen to be using tuna on our menu, but it really goes well with any kind of fish that you might use for ceviche. So let's get started. We have today, excuse me, we got some yellow bell peppers, mostly for the color and for a little bit of that sweetness. We have some Honeycrisp apples. You can use Well, I like Honeycrisp for this. It's sweet. It's good. Macoons would be really good if you wanted something a little tartar. Then we have some green pears. These are nice. They're very bright for it. Spanish onion and some garlic. And finally, some serrano chilies and a little turmeric powder to add a little color. And it's also a natural, what's it called? Anti-inflammation. So that's nice. So we're going to start with cutting up the yellow bell pepper. You're just going to take the top off like that. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. Why don't I show Cruz doing it, and I can switch this around and kind of play the cameraman for a second here. Let's see. There we go. Hi, Cruz. Hi. So you cut the tops off. You can save the tops. A really important thing is taking out these seeds and stems here. They're bitter, and they don't leave a great texture for the aguachile. So you just kind of come in there. You see, he did it really like made it look easy, but essentially you go in there and you make a cut on the top and the bottom and take those two parts off, and then you come in with a nice sharp knife and just kind of you know, like fillet out that veins and the seeds. And then he's just giving it a rough chop here because we're going to blend all of this together essentially. And not essentially, we are going to blend it all together. And then strain it through a fine mesh strainer so that we make sure it's nice and delicate. So now he's cutting up the pear. We're not going to peel these. You don't need to because you're straining it already. If you want to make it easier on yourself, you can peel them. It's not going to save you too much time. Then he just goes about doing the apple like that. So how do I do this? All right. There you go. Oh, it almost fell. So, and then for these serrano chilies here, we're going to keep the seeds and stems in these because we want the spiciness of these. They look similar to jalapenos. They're a little skinnier and smaller, and they definitely pack more of a spicy punch. Go ahead and cut that up. So we just start throwing this stuff in the blender. Your apples and your pears, if you're going to let them sit out for a while, it's a good idea to toss them in a little lime juice or hold them in a little water with lime juice in them so they don't get that brown color. So we just toss all this in here. We're making a small batch. I think the recipe that's posted online is a half batch of what we do in the restaurant. In the restaurant, we make a big, huge, I think like 12 quarts of it at a time. But today we're just going to make a little one just so you guys can see how it's done at home. A little onion. There we go. We will add our turmeric now. This is just 2 teaspoons here. I'm just going to add half of that. And then we have some lime juice. Always use fresh squeeze. There's no comparison in flavor. So you're just going to squeeze that in there. Kind of get some liquid to help blend it up. Gonna add a little water. And then a really important part, salt. Okay. Probably gonna need a decent blender for this, or if you have kind of not the best blender, you could do it in small batches. This is like the best Vitamix right here. This will blend anything up. So we just stick that on like that. Stick this guy in here, turn the blender on. Start nice and low. Kind of work our way up. See, it's getting like a nice golden color. All right, so once that's nice and smooth, as you can see, and liquidy, you're gonna need something to catch all the liquid in the bottom. Put your fine mesh strainer on top. And then another. So we have our liquid here. Cruz is gonna take all that and pour it right into this mesh strainer. So that all that pulp and stuff, we don't get any of that. You see that beautiful color? Bright yellow. Reminds me of the changing leaves.
We have a couple questions from the viewers.
Sure.
One question is, could you repeat the brand of the blender that you're using?
Yeah, it's a Vitamix. It's kind of like top of the line. Here, I'll give you a shoot right here. This is the commercial version. They make a couple models, I think. They're really good. You won't be sorry that you purchased one.
And the next question is, could you repeat the name of the pepper that you used? And could you tell people where they can find that?
Yeah, so we used just a yellow bell pepper, which you can find at any grocery store usually. And then the spicy small one is a Serrano. You should be able to find that. I know Whole Foods here in Boston has them a lot of times. And if you have any Latin American markets near you, a lot of times they'll have them. If you can't find Serrano chilies, then jalapeno would work well as also.
Great, thank you.
Of course. So you can see he's kind of strained that all out. It's a little foamy right now because of all the. Put this down. You should have hired a cameraman. But essentially, we have some finished product here. But it gets this really nice yellow color. The turmeric will separate from the liquid if you leave it in your fridge. So you kind of just give it a shake. And there it is. Has a lot of pear flavor, apple flavor. It's got the nice spiciness balanced with that a little sharpness of the onion and the garlic. We'll get some tuna here. I mean, this goes great with everything. What we're doing right now at the restaurant to kind of garnish it and give it a little textural, some texture, is we're putting a nice like crunchy veggie salad on there. So first I'm going to take my bowl. I had a bowl. There we go. Thank you, Cruz. I had some cut tuna here. Just gonna put a little bit in the bowl like that. All right, get this out of the way. We're just gonna do a small little portion here. The lime juice comes into play here again, just to give it a little brightness, even brighterness. A little salt, of course. Kind of mix that around, and then we're going to add a little bit of our here, Cruz, why don't you do this so I can film it? Take my gloves off. There we go. That's better. Sorry. So he's just gonna pour some of that on the tuna there, and kind of mix it around and let it marinate a little bit. It's up to you how cooked you want it. Meaning, like, the more you marinate it, the more it's going to get kind of cooked by the acid from the lime juice. We like ours pretty raw. He's gonna put that in there like that in a nice black bowl. We have our salad here, which has some of the yellow pepper again. Those bright green chilies you see there, the light's not great. There we go. Our Anaheim chilies, also called California chilies or peppers. They're long and they have this like very bright green color that I think looks really nice on the plate. And these white veg over here, some of it is jicama, which is kind of like a very water saturated tuber, similar to a daikon, but much sweeter and really packed full of water. And then we have chayote in here too, which is a type of squash, also called huisquil in Central America. And what do they call it in Colombia, Cruz? Sidra? Sidra? Yeah, sidra. So it's all the same type of squash. In Mexico, it's called chayote though. So he's then just gonna mix in a little lime again. Very simple salad here. We're not gonna put any oil or anything. We just want the crunchy texture from this veg, and a little bit of the sweetness from the jicama is nice. So you can see it's kind of leaked out some of that liquid that it was sitting in, and this is kind of what makes it the aguachile, is that it sits in this delicious yellow broth here. The other thing we forgot is a little bit of this guacamole is what we call it. It has many names, but essentially it's just avocados blended with a couple of those serrano chilies and some more lime, and it just adds a little bit of fat to this, which helps kind of round out the flavors there. So Cruz, if you wouldn't mind just topping that guy off. So then we have this nice salad on top of the tuna.
We have a couple more questions about this too.
Yeah, of course.
One person's wondering, could you use the aguachile as a dressing for a salad?
Sure. It's very liquidy, as you can see. It's very watery. So, but if you kind of mounted it with a little olive oil or something like that, yeah, it could make a nice salad dressing. I would use some kind of emulsifier too, like maybe a little more garlic in with the oil to kind of make it a nice salad dressing, or a little mustard would be good too, like some Dijon. That would kind of take away from its Mexicanness. But again, this is already a totally different version of a traditional aguachile. So really, you could use it however you see fit.
Great. A couple people want to know, is there a way you can reuse the pulp that you saved from straining it?
You could. It's really like, it's kind of chunky. I mean, if you wanted to then blend it and add it into a sauce as like a sweetener or something, or you could do that if you wanted to.
And someone is wondering, could you repeat the name of the pepper that was in the salad?
Yeah, it's called the Anaheim chili. It's this green guy right here sitting on top. It has that really nice color. It's not spicy like the serrano. It just has kind of a sweet, peppery thing. And again, it's got that beautiful color. So this is almost it. We then finish it off with a little cilantro. It really goes well with with some nice fresh herbs. So, you know, mint on this is great. Dill on this is great. Parsley, tarragon. You could do a mix actually too, and that would really give it a vibrant thing. That's what we do here at the restaurant, but our produce delivery hasn't come in yet, so all we have is cilantro currently. But again, dill, tarragon, parsley, cilantro, mint to really brighten it up. It's a very vibrant dish. And that is the aguachile. You serve it with some tortilla chips and just dip away.
Great. We do have a question from someone, two questions. Could you repeat, what are the radish looking circles on top of the salad?
Oh, those are radishes. Sorry, I didn't talk about the radishes. I talked about every vegetable except the radishes. So yeah, it's jicama, chayote. Those are radishes. And then the yellow bell peppers are just sliced really thin there. And then the Anaheim chilies.
Great. And we have a couple questions about the fish. Someone is wondering, could you cook the fish?
Say that again?
Someone's wondering, could you cook the fish if you didn't want to use raw?
I mean, I wouldn't. It essentially gets cooked the longer you leave it in the acid. So you could cut some nice raw fish, and again, you could just leave it in that marinade a little longer, and the protein will totally get cooked. So I wouldn't suggest searing it or roasting it or anything like that. Ceviche should be raw fish. So.
Great. And then finally, could you substitute something like salmon or shrimp instead?
Sure. Yeah, shrimp would be great. The shrimp you might want to blanch or poach. Excuse me. You might want to poach the shrimp ahead of time, just because shellfish is a little sketchier when it comes to ceviches. But again, you could just cook it in the lime juice and it'd be fine. If you don't feel totally comfortable with that, poached shrimp works great. And salmon would be delicious as well. A nice cut of salmon would be great. Totally.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions? We're gonna move on to our brisket tacos. Again, this is the Aguachile Amarillo. Give it another cruise. You want to hold that up? There you go. Beautiful. And with the black bowl, it looks really nice too, the color contrast. Great. Okay, let's do brisket tacos. One of our most popular dishes here is our brisket taco. It's very simple. It's rich. We kind of came up with it sort of envisioning the suadero taco, which is it's a beef taco that they have in Mexico that uses a really fatty part of the cow. And we're using brisket, which is another really fatty part of the cow. They're essentially from the same part, and that was kind of our inspiration. We took it a little farther, but it is one of our more simple tacos, and it's very delicious. So we'll get into that. Just gonna clean up our workstation a little bit here. All right. Again, these recipes will be posted online. So, how should we do this? Yeah, great. So you're going to start off by making your rub. And this rub uses a lot of dried chilies. And over here we have some coriander, some bay leaves, and black pepper. And this right here is black cardamom, which is really not traditional, but it totally gives it its Cósmica brisket taco flavor. So these right here are chili de arbos, chili of the trees. So it's really, really spicy, delicious. These are morritas. It's a type of chipotle, so it's a smoked jalapeno. These are ancho chilies. Ancho chilies are dried poblanos, and they're green poblanos that are dried. The red ones are called mulatto chilies, and that's it. So what you do to kind of open up the flavor of all your dry ingredients for this rub is you're gonna throw it in an oven. We have our big convection oven here. I think we're going in at 350. So 350. Toss it in. Dried chilies play a big role in a lot of traditional Mexican recipes, and the way that you toast them or fry them totally changes the flavor of the dish. So these ones we roast a little longer than some of our other ones. The longer you roast them, the darker and kind of more chocolatey but sort of bitter they're going to become. The less you roast them, you kind of just open them up and get that nice flavor. So we're going to let it go kind of in between. Oh, cool. You can see me in the glass. Cruise too. So while he's getting that going, let's come over here to the stove. And we're actually making a big batch right now in the restaurant. That's why there's so much beef fat. But this is beef fat because essentially we rub the brisket, right, and all those chilies, and let it sit overnight. And then the next day, you melt some of your beef fat, and then you're going to confit it. Cook it really low and slow in its own fat. And the more times you use the fat, the more flavor it develops. That's why the color of these is so dark. It's got that dark red color because this is a mother fat, they'll call it, which has a ton of flavor. And like I said, the more times you do this process, the better your brisket's gonna get. And when they're making carnitas, the best carnitas places, they have like a super old, delicious mother fat. So we're kind of taking that technique and using it here for our brisket tacos. Cool. So we're still in the oven over here. He's kind of checking on them. Why don't you open that up again, just to kind of see what's happening. So they were kind of flat before, and you see how the morritas are kind of puffing up a little bit. The ancho is not so much yet, but the longer you leave it in there, it'll start to kind of puff. And in the recipe, I talk about that, letting them kind of expand a little bit. So here we have our brisket. We'll talk about what size to cut it before you rub it and leave it for the night. We do this brisket, 5 times a week? We sell so many brisket tacos. I mean, who doesn't love brisket, right? So you see, this is a fatty part of the brisket. That's probably the best part to use at home. See it? They did kind of big cubes here. And a lot of recipes with brisket, they'll have you trim off some of that fat. But the more fat we can have with this cooking process, the better. So we're just gonna leave it all on for more flavor. Cool. Then he's gonna take a pan here to mix it. This is what it looks like once everything's toasted and it's blended together. Just open this one-handed. So it looks like that. You see it's got that dark red color, which is very similar to the color of the fat, because that just leaches in there time after time. So you can see you really want to blend it so that it's nice and powdery. You don't have to go so crazy, but so then he's going to salt it and rub it. Oh, we're pulling the chilies out. I'm sorry. So you can see all those anchos now are puffed up. That's kind of what you're looking for. The aroma is fantastic. It's very earthy. Like I said, chocolatey. Really great. Chilies are extremely important to not only Mexican cuisine, but all the recipes we make here. Cruz and I are obsessed with the dried chilies. Yeah, it's the secret. There's some we get really excited about, like stuff you can't find, like the chiltepín. We have some friends from Sonora. Chiltepín is this like very small, super spicy dried chili, and sometimes we get a couple handfuls of those. And we love them. Excellent in soups. So you can see he's kind of just like lightly tossing them. You know, you're not going to want to go so crazy because that flavor is very strong. If you put too much of it on, it'll get like a bitter flavor.
We have a question from someone. When you say that you're cooking here, are you in your restaurant right now? And can you tell us?
Yeah, we are actually. You can see here we are in this is our line here at Cósmica. We got some beef fat going for not only the demo we're doing for you guys, but for a big batch. This is actually pretty fun if you've never seen a commercial kitchen. Over here we have some salsa verde going. For our pollo verde, we sear off some chicken and braise it in this delicious salsa verde. Here are the serrano chilies again from the Aguachile. So tomatillos. And then downstairs we have a prep area where we can do all of our cutting and marinating and rubbing down there. So hypothetically, you would have waited a night, right? And then you come back when you're ready to cook the next day, and you just slowly pour this fat over it until it's pretty submerged. You can leave a couple pieces out like that. Like that's not gonna ruin it if there's some guys sticking out there. I mean, but look at that. Isn't that cool? It's like such a dark red color. Are you gonna cover it with aluminum foil? If you have a nice Dutch oven, like a Le Creuset or a Staub or something, you could just put the big heavy cover on that and that would work fine as well. So then we're gonna stick it in our oven here. And you're gonna let that go for 3.5 to 4 hours, depending on your oven. You know, they all have their little tricks. So so as the brisket's going, we're gonna show you how to make the toppings for it. So we do one salsa for it, and then we make these things called chili rajas, which are essentially blistered peppers that you take the skins off, very much like roasted red peppers or something like that. For these chili rajas, we're using poblano chilies, which is the fresh version of the ancho chilies that we're using in our rub. And we fry them and blister the skin. And then just like when you're roasting red peppers at home on the stove or something, you salt them cover them with some plastic wrap and kind of let that steam cook them a little longer and take off to help take off some of that skin. And again, we're removing the stems and the seeds.
We have a couple of questions about the brisket. One
Yes.
question, when you put the brisket, is that refrigerated overnight when you leave it?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
When you're leaving the brisket overnight, just to clarify, someone wanted to know, that's in the refrigerator?
Yes, yeah. Definitely keep it in the refrigerator overnight. You don't want to.
What
Yeah.
temperature put the brisket in the oven?
Say that again.
What temperature is the oven for the
Oh,
brisket?
350.
Thank you.
You could do it a little lower too. You could do it if you weren't trying to, like 300 to 350 would be good. I'd say 300 for 4 hours. And if you're going to do 350, maybe check it after 3 hours. One thing I forgot to talk about is after you toast all those chilies, you want to pop them open and take the seeds and stems out of those chilies as well before blending it to make your rub. It just makes it a little too bitter. So take some of that. Actually, do you have any of those? Yeah, why don't you show them, please? So here, wait 1 second. There we go. So here are the ancho chilies. So he's going to demonstrate before you blend all this together. You want to take out these seeds like that. You don't have to be a crazy person like totally dissecting the chili. You just want to make sure you get a majority of them out. And then for our smaller chilies, like our morritas, which were that type of chipotle I was talking about, you don't have to take the seeds out. Just leave them in. So it's just for the larger ancho chilies. You're going to blend that all together. We have our chili rajas going over here in the fryer. Again, if you feel uncomfortable using, because you don't have a deep fat fryer at home, you can do it on the stovetop without oil, just over the your fire here. Like if you just roasted the chili on that would blister the skin, and you could do the same process. But we like to fry ours. You can see you don't want it to get too dark, but you can see how the skin is very blistered like that from frying it. We just put it in a bowl here. Cruz, you're awesome, man. Thank you. Doing a great job. So you salt it pretty well, which acts as an abrasive to kind of help take off that skin, and it adds flavor as well. So he's going to cover that and just kind of set it to the side. Boom. Just stick this over here. So once you have all your chilies and your spices, your coriander and black pepper and stuff, yeah, it's gonna hit it in the Vitamix. You can also use a spice grinder, that works well too. I know a lot of people have those at home. So you start to get this powder, which is the same powder that we talked about earlier. There you go. You kind of want it to look like that. And then you rub it and leave it overnight in the fridge. Cover it with this beef fat, set it in the oven for, let's say, 300 for 4 hours. And then we have our raja resting. Now we're going to make our salsa that goes on there. We have this guajillo salsa. I'm just murdering you guys with all these chili names, but these are these are guajillo chilies. Very mild. They're really good. They're in a lot of recipes. Very common dried chili. You should be able to find most of these at any like local Latin American market, or if worse comes to worse, I think you could probably get some online pretty easily as well. So we have our guajillo chilies for our guajillo salsa, hence the name. Okay, and then over here, sorry, over here we have some red onions, some tomatoes, jalapenos, and garlic, and that's all that's going in this salsa. So the guajillos we keep separate from the fresh veg here. This is gonna peel the red onions. He's a pro.
For chilies to protect your eyes or your hands?
The gloves help protect definitely from the spiciness. The eyes, you don't have to worry about that so much. But definitely when handling hot peppers, wearing gloves is strongly suggested. Also for sanitary purposes, we have to use gloves every time we touch food. So he's just doing like a rough chop on those, because what's going to happen is the fryer comes into play here again. We're going to fry all this stuff until it gets really, I like to call it PGB, which stands for perfectly golden brown. That's a good one. And then we're going to blend it all together. And that's going to go on top of our brisket tacos. The important thing about this part of it is cooking your guajillo chilies separate from the rest of the veg, because the guajillo chilies, as you'll see in a second, they go down for like a couple seconds, 10 seconds maybe, and that's it. And this is just to open them up. And that's it. You see, they really opened up again, but it took like no time, and now they're packed full of flavor. Set those aside. Come back and get our fresh veg. Put your garlic in with the onions and jalapenos. Put those in. Again, if you're not comfortable with having hot oil on your stove, you could do something like this in the oven and just really give them a hard roast until you start to see that nice color I was talking about, that golden brown color. So our brisket's in. Our brisket's in. We have our poblano resting. We can probably do that now if you want to get the chili raja. Play cameraman again. All right, so we're coming back to this raja here. You can see it's kind of just flicking away that skin. It's coming off quite easily because of the salt and giving it that resting time.
Could you tell us the difference between a pepper and a chili?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just in the States we call them peppers, and If you're a Spanish speaker, you call them chilies. So you can see he's taking all the seeds out of there too. Put it on the cutting board. And then he's just gonna go slowly for despacio. Yeah, so he's just, see, cut them in the long strips like that. That's called a julienne. You have this beautiful dark green color. And they're good. They're like half cooked kind of. And frying them brought out all their poblano flavor. It's a really nice touch on the brisket. Then we're going to toss those in a little lime. And if you, depending on your salt tolerance, you might want to add a little more salt to them. If you really salted them hard after they came out of the fryer or after you took them off your burner, they might not need salt. So we'll just take our fresh lime juice, put a kind of a generous amount on there. So we are going to add a little salt because we're chefs and we like salt. We live off of salt. There you go. I might put a little too much lime juice, but so now we're going to cut up some cilantro to put on top. It's that nice, fresh, bright flavor. So when you're cutting your cilantro, you want to rock the knife like that. See how he's kind of doing like a rocking motion? That makes it so you're not going to bruise the cilantro. And it's not just for cilantro, it's any fresh herbs. This rocking method makes it so you're not going to come back and it's, you know how sometimes you really chop your herbs and you come back a little while later to use them and they got like a grass flavor. This is going to ensure that it doesn't have that fresh mown lawn flavor. Okay, you're just going to get the nice cilantro. You see how it's not bruised, it's just beautifully sliced there, cut there, to go on top of our tacos. Another thing you could do, which I do a lot, it's kind of a cheat, is just put some whole leaves on it. That way you don't have to worry about your knife skills, and the whole leaves have a nice visual appeal on top of a taco. Go back over to the fryer here. You can see how these things are going. So the tomatoes, you can see they're starting to bust open a little bit, and it's really getting blistery. And all this onions, and you see how that's getting really nice and golden like that. So we're just going to take those out just like that. The tomatoes need a little more time, but now you have this nice roasty thing going on. The tomatoes will let go a little longer. So our brisket's in. We have our rajas, our cilantro. We're going to cut up a little fresh yellow onion or Spanish onion to put on top. And Cruz is going to demonstrate nice and slowly how to. Is this a good side? It should be on the other side. Should be on the other side. How to dice an onion. You didn't know this was going to be a knife skills class too. Tacos, ceviche, and knife skills. Take the peel off like that. You can save the peels of the onions if you want to make a veggie stock or something like that, so there's no waste. See how he's just kind of, I'm trying to get a better shot here. He's kind of like going in on the side of the onion like that, creating these layers, right? See that? Like all the lines. and he's keeping the end piece intact so that the onion itself stays together so that when you go to cut it, it doesn't fall apart. Go ahead, Chris. So then he's gonna come back along the top here and then make downward cuts. So he made those inward cuts like this. Now he's coming and making those down cuts. Then you're gonna come back. And you see, you have that nice square dice. You can see. Clearly, I should be a cameraman for Food Network. There you go. And you come back and just rough chop those guys up. Look at that. Beautiful. Perfect. Let's go check on our tomatoes while Cruz is getting our taco toppings organized. They're almost there. They go a little longer. You guys can check back in on our salsa verde over here for the restaurant. Getting a nice char going on. I think we're about ready to build these tacos, Cruz. Yeah, let's do two. We're gonna make 2 tacos for you guys. 2 brisket tacos, not 2 different ones. So we have these corn tortillas we're using. You can use flour if you want. If you're from the north of Mexico, flour is used widely there. These corn tortillas are really great. We get them from this company called Mi Tierra Tortillas, and it's organic, 100% Massachusetts grown corn. And what's nice about them is they're the best tortillas I found around the Boston area. They just have such good texture. You can see there they're just like that's not messing around. Like that's real corn. You know that you're eating real food, not some of that instant masa stuff. Like that's the real deal right there. So we just let those get heated up.
Someone wants to know, could you repeat the name of the tortilla?
Yeah, it's called Mi Tierra. It means my land or my earth. Mi Tierra. They're out in Hadley, I think, in Western Mass. And they have a farm called Full Moon Organics. You can find these actually at Whole Foods, I think, as well around here. So we have some of our brisket ready here. You see how it's got that beautiful red color from the chilies. And we took some of our guajillo salsa and mixed it in with the brisket a little bit. All right, buddy, let's make them. Cruz got his haircut just for this video. I don't know if you guys see, but that's a nice lineup right there. So lay our tacos out. Okay. Oh, the guajillo salsa. Shoot. We forgot a step. All right, so you see the tomatoes now, they're really nice and dark. Roasty, toasty, fried deliciousness. Okay, there's the onions and jalapenos. And we don't need to show you this part, but essentially then you just blend all that together. Sorry. Blend all those things together and just add some salt. That's it. So the blender's coming into play a lot today for these recipes. All right, taco time. So you have our brisket here. The key to a nice taco, I think, is not overloading it. You know, so when you go to pick it up, you get a bite of everything and it folds together nicely. You know, if you make them too big and stuff spilling out, that's not the best. Isn't it? Just look awesome. We have that here. Gonna take a little bit of this guajillo salsa. I brought some spoons over, Cruz. So this is what the guajillo salsa looks like when it's finished. It's just all that delicious veg blended together. Again, you seed and stem the guajillo chilies. I don't think we have time to show you that whole process now, but it's explained in the recipe. So nice generous dollop of the guajillo salsa. And then we're gonna take our limey chili rajas. Place those on top. We're gonna take our onions. Some nice fresh onion. You could use red if you want to. I think yellow works nice for this. Little cilantro. And that's it. There they are. Brisket tacos, Cósmica brisket tacos. Nice and simple. Obviously the processes aren't simple, but the composition of the taco is clean and pretty straightforward. All right, dude, you want to eat these? I know I do. You too? Good. Yeah, I didn't eat breakfast today, man. I gotta stand a little far away.
Oh, bravo. Bravo. Congratulations. Thank you. On behalf of all of us, my name is Barbara Talalian and I represent the Friends of Armenian Heritage Park, Age Friendly and Oldways. And I don't know where to start because the beauty of the vegetables, the extraordinary collaboration between the two of you, seeing a kitchen, like the hotel kitchen, it's all just extraordinary. So thank you very much for being so very much a part of this series. We look forward to keeping you engaged and with us and welcoming you one day at your restaurant, but also at the park. So to all of you, thank you for joining us. You've all made our day. Let's continue to stay connected. Let's continue to keep each other staying safe and healthy. And to you both, you are the most extraordinary team in town. So we salute you. We salute you and thank you from all of us. Very, very much.
Our pleasure.
We love you. We love your joy and sharing of Mexican cuisine, and we love the way you do it. Thank you. Thank you. Talk with you soon.